How we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Getting Jiggy With It. I'm Will, and well, I don't have Adri today. Unfortunately, she would normally be here because we do a little challenge where she tries to guess what I backed on Kickstarter and Gamefound. And unfortunately, while she's not here today, she was here when we filmed it, had some issues, changed up some things on our microphones, as you can see, and it didn't record any sound for the entire hour and 45 minutes we did it. But either way, so I'm going to go through what I backed, what I was interested in and didn't back, as well as some campaigns that didn't fund and got canceled, or maybe we were doing preview content for it while it was going on or in the future. But either way, let's go ahead and we will start with the first game. So the first game here you can see is the Umbrella Academy. This was unfortunately canceled. It was a cooperative board game, 1 to 5 players. It is based off of the Dark Horse comics. And then of course they've got a Netflix series. I want to watch the Netflix series. We watched Series of Unfortunate Events, and then of course we watched Stranger Things. Adri like both of these, so we're definitely going to give this a shot on Netflix. If we backed it, and when it was coming, I would definitely be watching it then. I don't know what, it didn't really draw people in. To me, it felt very similar to, what is it? Oh man, I forget what it is. Oh, Rat Queens, right? Which is another, comic book thing. Most people that complained, it was like, didn't like the board. They didn't like the way the board was. There were minis. They were doing more unlocks. You would have gotten more minis and more characters to go along with it. Like they were doing the young versions of the kids and things like that. But I guess just nobody saw a good enough thing there. I liked it. At the $75 was basically the pledge, because there was no other version. So I don't think it was priced, because right now that's the way things are. You're looking at about $100 for this type of game. Not every publisher can be, CMON or Awaken Realms and have 5,000 minis in their game. But that's the first one that got canceled. That was Umbrella Academy. So the second game that got canceled is The Fog: Escape from Paradise. This one the publisher decided to cancel due to the world state. Some people brought some things to his attention that they felt things were a little bit too similar to what's going on in the world. Some make the connection, some don't. I reached out to him, said, hey, like the game, I would like to give it a shot. So we do have a preview copy for when they relaunch, but basically in the fog, there's some type of mystical energy, some kind of fog that is coming to take over the island, and you basically have to escape before that happens, right? So you're going to have these different colors on your characters, your citizens, and you're trying to get them to these boats to score victory points. Not much more than that. I mean, that's what it is. So you see your little player discs. That way you can put your color on the Islander tokens. You got some people that enjoyed it. So we're hoping when he relaunches it, I don't know where we'll be. We may be playing from a camper. We may be playing from my parents' house. We might be playing from our new house. But when he relaunches, we'll be glad to do some live gameplay. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in seeing more about The Fog. Next one also canceled. This is Dino Dino. This is by Nathan Vermillion. He did, I think, Valhalla or Valda, I think was his first game. Let me see here. Which I was interested in. Yeah, it was Valda, Rise of the Giants. I was interested. I didn't get a chance to actually complete my pledge manager because I was just still on the fence, but I'd heard good things about it. So when this launched, I got alerted. But basically, it is a simple, small box tile laying game, and it's a game where you overlap tiles to make and get your patterns. We like that in a similar game, well, not similar to this, but that similar mechanic in a game which was Squire for Hire. So I thought this would be fun. It looks cute. I reached out to him, so hopefully when he does relaunch, we'll be able to do some preview content for this as well. So the next game is Fire for Light. So Fire for Light, I was interested in because if we get down here to the art was the same as what's in Brew, and you can see the minis even share that art, and I really like that art. I was like, that's kind of cool. I came here expecting, I think that's what happens. I came in here expecting a game like Brew, a smaller, lighter weight game in a small box, and it wasn't. This was a multi-faceted, campaign story game. The miniatures, I'm in for miniatures, right? I'm even in for a campaign style game. The problem was it wasn't very attractive. When you did a search, this is what you saw. Those logos aren't good. This isn't highlighting that graphic at all. You can see the graphic on the side spine of the box, but you're not seeing that beautiful art. This is very dull, right? So I've reached out to the publisher and he talked to us on BGG. He sent me an email. So we're going to talk to him. He is going to try to provide us a copy when it goes to relaunch as well. I'm going to see what he can do to make it a little bit more approachable. The second thing, of course, and it's probably the biggest factor why I just couldn't get into it, because I know there was probably more there, is the all-in pledge was almost $400. And when you see a game for $400 from Awakened Realms or any of them, it looks like there's way more than this, right? You look at that graphic, it's what's there. And sometimes it's hard to show because you don't want to reveal your story elements. And that's where I think if you look at like something like Bard Song, they revealed things without revealing their story. I think Massive Darkness and they're very similar, right? So I think he can do it. He's just going to have to find out how, as well as bring in a different type of audience, because I think his old dungeon crawlers were more dark, and this seems to be more light, especially if you look at the art. It's more of a light style game, even though the game might not be light, right? So that is Fire for Lights. We're looking forward to that relaunch. So the next game is Illiterati. So this one did successfully fund. This is one that we will be getting a preview copy once it hits retail. Basically, it's a game where you are trying to complete tasks. So like here it says you need 8-letter words that are using green letters. And it might be like food. Let me see if I can get a better picture. There you go. Yeah, like foods. So basically you need 8+ letters to spell with foods using at least 3 green letters. So you're going to have these letters that you're going to draw. You're going to work together. There's a timer, so it's a timer based to basically spell those words. And then you're going to have different types of events come out that's going to cause issues and make the game a little bit more challenging. So spelling games, word games, Adri likes those types of games, helps her learn English, as well as, I guess, well, kind of hard to play Spanish on this one because it doesn't have a little accent. So definitely looking forward to this once it releases, and we'll have preview content for that. All right, so the next one is Hamlet. Hamlet is a village building game, as it says there. What you're trying to do is you're trying to build the town of Hamlet by moving your workers, moving your placement, building out these tiles. And then in the end, you're trying to build this church. There you go. So you got this big church you're trying to build. You also have donkeeples, cute little donkeeples. This is by Mighty Boards. We did some content for their roll and write game, Roll and Fight. So same thing, we reached out to them. Once everything is settled down, we should be getting a preview copy of this. This one definitely impressed us, or impressed me enough to put it on my list. But it does look very fun, tile laying, building out a little city, and then building out that church there in the middle. The next one we have here is Monster Pit. So Monster Pit actually was kind of going slow when it first launched. This is by Ezreal Games. They did previous game, which was Catacombs, where you did a flicking, it was dexterity flicking, and you had to try to knock out other things. You could power up your characters. Very unique take. This wasn't that. This one right here is actually more of a full dungeon crawl type thing where you're still trying to go, you're taking your different characters and you're going to level them up and try to take out, let me see if they got the little gameplay thing here somewhere. There's all the wonderful stuff they unlock. So they did daily unlocks instead of stretch goals, which a lot of people like. But you got your Citadel board, you got your captain player boards. Here you go. So here you go. Choose your captain, right? Well, how to play. Choose your captain. And well, that's kind of where's the rest of how to play? Okay, explore the Citadel. So you got each structure provides unique services. So it's kind of worker placement. You're going to get advancements, get different people to join your team, and then you're going to go and you're going to attack the monster. So basically, become a captain, get you some characters, and attack. Right? And it looks like dice rolling. It's been a while since I've seen this. This is why we want to try to get these done a little bit earlier, so it's a little bit fresher in my mind. But yeah, so reach out. We should be getting a preview copy of this as well. The next game is Route East. It's a travel adventure game. This basically is based on a real life trip that the developers made. You're basically trying to travel east, and while you go through, you're going to have different things happen to you, like you're going to run out of gas. Are you going to stop at this place? Are you going to do, different things while you travel? And each thing that you do is going to impact, of course, your position. So it's kind of a race game. You want to get to the end. So I was very interested in it. It looked really cool. Great presentation. Looks like a very neat mechanic. We've never played anything like that, like a little racing type game. Right here, put your foot down, +1 to movement. So different types of cards you're going to play to be able to activate and accomplish your goals. So you can see here, action cards. But yeah, it just looked really neat. So same thing, I reached out to them. So same thing, once the game publishes, we should be getting a copy of that. So that is Route East. So this is the first game that we did preview content for. So you can go and check out the video for this. This is Mercurial. Mercurial is a quasi deck building, engine building game. What you're doing is it's dice drafting. You're going to roll your dice. That's going to allow you to buy your spell cards. Once you get your spell cards loaded up, like down here, then you're going to be able to cast those spell cards to be able to accomplish certain tasks. Getting those tasks is what's going to get you victory points towards the end of the game. And then it's deck building in the sense that in the center row, you can then get cards, pay for cards using your resources, add that to your hand to then make the facilitation of your dice, either mitigation by changing them or gaining more resources like the mana, possible, right? So very fun game. Like the art was beautiful. One thing we were saying was, you know, if it had a little bit more flavor text or something like that, but the problem is it's language independent, which is very good, right? To have a very nice language independent game that you can play with anybody. We always look for that, of course, with Adri's parents only speaking Spanish, and I don't speak enough Spanish to be able to play a Spanish game with them. Language independent games like this are definitely on our list when we see them. So, but again, beautiful art. If you're into this kind of thing, definitely will probably have a late pledge. No, there's 35 hours to go. I might get this video put up before the 35 hours is done. I believe I will. I should get this up done tomorrow for you guys. Today, it's Sunday for me. So if you want to back it, it will be there. Next game that we previewed on the channel was Island Alone. Island Alone is a print and play roll and write style game where you and your fellow players are trying to build up resources, move across the map. Each resource is only available one time, so it's kind of that limited pool. You got to get there first with your worker. I guess in this case, your survivor. It was really fun. We didn't get a chance to play anything beyond just the base game, but there's other things like scenarios, different islands that were unlocked, all kinds of things. They are doing a pre-order right now on their website, and they'll go ahead and email you the PDF once it is available. That is Island Alone. Real fun little roll and write game. It's a print and play, so as long as you've got a dice and you got a meeple, you can pretty much play it anywhere. All right, so the first game that I was interested in was Solar 175. So Solar 175 is a legacy style space game. I don't know, like I saw the graphics and everything, and I'm like, maybe this is the game for us, right? But for whatever reason, once I got into the campaign and I looked at it, it's like, I don't know why. Like, people talk about war games not looking good. People talk about Euros not looking good. For me, a lot of the space games don't look good. Like, they just don't catch my attention. They all look very bland. Now, let me see if I can get a picture of this board. There's all the wonderful, I mean, they unlock tons of stuff. Again, space games have their niche for these types of games. I think it's supposed to be like a 4X legacy game. And that's the other thing. We're trying to find a 4X game. And that's why I'm looking at all 4X games that come out. But you're trying to go out, there's a little animation here shows you're trying to go out, you're trying to populate places, you're trying to colonize and you know, explore, expand, you know, see, explore, expand, build biodomes, you know, mine resources. It seemed very dry. Like, I watched a playthrough video of it, it seemed dry. It seemed like a dry Euro. The graphics weren't pulling me in, and I couldn't back it. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. You guys let me know down below what I'm missing, or if you have suggestions for a good space game that looks good, is fun to play while you're playing it. And the same thing with a 4X. Like, because I can't find a 4X that's even anywhere near that looks fun to play. Everything looks dry and long. So maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know in the comments. The next one is Earth Under Siege Flashpoint. It says relaunch, but that's because they had an issue on their day one launch with the pricing and stuff. So they relaunched. So what this game is, it is a special ops, like secretive kind of if you know V-Sabotage, or you know the Assassin's Creed game, which is based on V-Sabotage, very similar to that. You're trying to navigate your round through the board without causing too much commotion, too much noise. If you do, it's going to draw in the attention of the rest of the baddies. And of course, the baddies will eventually come and get you, and you're just going to go all out just like you would in like a zombie side or any other type of, I guess they call them beer and pretzels games. 73 minis in the core box. Lots of unlocked stretch goals. I looked into this because of Alex from Board Game Co. Because he liked V-Sabotage, but he said Assassin's Creed, the theme, and he thinks they did it better. But then he said this, he feels does it even better. So that alone, I got V-Sabotage currently on order, so we'll get that in and be playing that content. So I figured, get this, why not? We'll compare them, see which one's better. And now it's ironic, I mentioned the whole space thing. I don't mind space like this. This looks like a fun space game. I guess it's the space exploration games that I'm not really a big fan of. I haven't found a good space exploration game. We do have Ultra Tiny Epic Galaxies coming to us from Gameland, and we do have Microcosmos from Destroy. So we do have both of those that we're going to play on the channel. They were sent to us to preview. So maybe that's our style, just kind of a small box space game. So Motor City. So Motor City is a roll and write. It's in the same vein of Four Sisters and Fleet, the dice game, I believe is what it is. This is the third in that series. I backed this one mainly because I didn't want to miss out. Missed out on the other two because the themes didn't impress me, but everybody says it doesn't matter. It's just a great roll and write game, even if you ignore the theme. So same thing here, Motor City. I'm like, I'm kind of into cars. I like watching things like Fast and Loud and stuff on Discovery, but I'm like, do I really want to build automobiles and do that kind of thing? Probably not, but I'm like, they say it's great. I reached out to the publisher and he's like, he doesn't have extra copies that he can provide because the game's become region locked due to what publisher ends up publishing it. And right now he didn't know what publisher that was going to be for the US. So I went ahead and backed it. I mean, it was $30. So it wasn't, it's not breaking the bank. There's a lot of games I'm interested in, a lot of games we'd like to preview on the channel for you guys. Only so much money to go around, but so we are getting this. This is Motor City. Looks fun, like I said, just normal roll and write, lots of upgrades, lots of enhancements, customized dice, folding action board, got all these nice little first player markers are all unlocked. But yeah, so if you're interested in that, pre-orders are available. Okay, so the next game was Tiwanaku. This was originally Pachamama over on Gamefound, and then they relaunched it over here as Tiwanaku. I don't know if the name change had to do with cultural consulting, because they still mention Pachamama in the actual game, because that's who you're trying to harvest the crops for, because that's who she is, right? Or if it was a Gamefound versus Kickstarter thing, Kickstarter might be locking down saying, oh, you can't release the same game, or maybe even Gamefound is. I don't know. So what this game is Quackalope probably says it best. It's Minesweeper on steroids. You're trying to figure out what color tile and what color, I think the purple ones are supposed to be like fields or something, on each one of these by placing your worker to determine it, right? And the biggest thing with this is the gimmick of it, which is basically this wheel here with these scenario discs. So this is how you add the varieties with these scenario discs. And when I gotta find the other animation, when you put your worker down, you're going to turn the scenario disc a certain way, and then you're going to, so you turn it, and then you look in the wheel to say, okay, that's what goes in that box. Then you either score points or lose points based on your guesses. So I didn't back it originally because I like puzzle games, but I think it was the price for me wasn't there, because a lot of it, I mean, it's the deluxe edition. I don't know if it's coming to retail. Didn't seem like it had a lot for it at that $60, $65 price range compared to other games. And I think a lot of that cost is coming down to this little wheel that you're getting. I believe the manufacturing is probably quite expensive on it. However, when I showed it to Adri, she really, really liked it. So we will be late backing this one. So this will be one that I will be picking up the Pledge Manager once I can. And that one is, what's the new name? Tiwanaku. Tiwanaku is this one. So next one is Ryozen. So this is a 1 to 4 player worker placement, and it has this special rotating board, which I thought was very neat. We like a lot of worker placements. We're getting used to them. I think right now most of our common games we like. I'm liking deck builders more than Adri. She doesn't mind them. She does like Clank. Clank's one of her top 10. You can watch her video and my video for our top 10 for last year games we played. But worker placement is another one that she likes having the options, the variety, being able to put pieces in certain spots and choosing a decision, having a goal that she's working on. We just did a gameplay for a current Kickstarter. You can watch that. That's for Holotype worker placement game. We loved it, right? So if I haven't given away Ryozen, we did back, but yeah, it was a very unique looking. I like the art, I like the graphics. This one I didn't reach out to the publisher at all. I saw this and I'm like, I'm backing it, right? There was no questions asked. I was gonna give the publisher my money. Lots of things unlocked, lots of upgrades. So yeah, if you're interested, the pledge manager should be open. I don't know if they're taking late pledges yet. It says late pledge now, so Tabula Games is taking late pledges. You can go there. But yeah, it was just very unique. The wheel turns, and that changes what other things you can do in terms of your worker placement and your actions that you can take. So I just thought that was a very unique. Lots of gameplay out there. I think Quackalope did a gameplay of it if you want to check that out. All right. Speaking of worker placement, we have Oak here, Oak by Game Brewer. So Oak is another worker placement. What you're doing is you are taking your druids, you're trying to go out and accomplish tasks. You're doing some hand management, asymmetrical player power, so each one's going to have their own little abilities, and you're trying to impress the great tree. So you can see here on the board, you're just going through your paces. Person that gets the most victory points, which is, I guess how you're impressing the great tree, is going to be able to, win the game. So the retail version, the deluxe version, so you could wait till retail, but the biggest thing is with the deluxe version, you're going to get a higher paperboard, you're going to get this insert, you're getting a day-night mode, screen-printed meeples, thicker player boards, thicker chunky bits. We like our chunky meeps, so anytime there's chunky bits, that's going to definitely pull it. Screen printing on the bag, you get these nice wooden pieces instead of flat cardboard, nice wooden tokens, lots of chunkiness. Gamefound exclusive first player marker. But this was a cool thing too. You get these little plastic things. You get to upgrade your druid. So again, you can tell, very excited. Worker placement. Again, another one that I backed, no questions asked. And that is Oak. So if you're interested in that one, I believe this one ended. Let's see if they're doing late pledges. Backed. So they're not doing late pledges yet, but you can click follow and then they'll send you an email once the pledge manager opens. Since they're on Gamefound, pledge manager will be on Gamefound as well. The next one is a board game tables trifecta. They've been doing these 3-pack games the last 2 Kickstarters. We did back 12 Christmases or 12 days of Christmas. No, the night before Christmas. No. What's the Scrooge? Christmas Carol. Yeah. No, we did back that. I didn't get the other 2 games that were in the set. This one is Habitats, which is a reprint. 9 Lives is a reprint. Basketball is a reprint. Habitats is a tile laying game where you have variable scoring criteria based on the different animals that you're putting out there. Basketball is less about the sport and more of an auction drafting type game where you're trying to get the best players. And then as they age, as they get older, they start losing some of their punch, as it would be. And then 9 Lives is a trick-taking game where it says here, where you know what the other people are using. So the only thing I backed here was Habitats. And that's because 9 Lives says it's for 2 players in one spot and says it's for 3 players in the other. And I haven't had a chance to research that. So when the pledge manager opens, I'll double down my checking, but we may be getting 9 Lives. We're okay. We don't mind trick-taking games, but our parents like trick-taking games, right? Also, as we mentioned, language independence is very big. You can see Habitats, language independent. And if we go down here to 9 Lives, well, not basketball. This one, unfortunately, I'm not interested in auction games at all, and basketball doesn't do it here. But yeah, here it says 2 to 5 players, but I can't figure out why. But even same thing here, it's language independent, right? So it's very easy for us to take down to Colombia. Small box games, another big factor with board game tables, although I think the Habitats is going to be one of their bigger games. But small box games, really easy to shove in a suitcase and take with us. So definitely looking at 9 Lives, but we did back Habitats. So the next one is Small City Deluxe Edition. So Small City Deluxe Edition, the best way to describe this is a Sim City style game. You are basically building out your city. You're going to have workers and worker placement. But as your city goes, let me see if I can find the animation, you're going to be upgrading your sectors, just like you would in Sim City. You're going to have that management that you're going to have to do where you need to determine how much money do I want to put here, how much effort do I want to put here, just like you would in Sim City, where you do your resource management of your different utilities and your police and your just all your different things. I was very interested. It's a tile laying. I'm like, okay, cool. It's Sim City. I love Sim City when I played it on the PC back in the day, way back in the day, right? And I was like, it really, it impressed me. Unfortunately, the price, the $100 price point, eventually turned me off for the deluxe edition. Even the non-deluxe edition for regular 70 for the architect pledge versus the mayor, it was still a little bit much. And the final decision wasn't really the price, because I did pledge at the all-in pledge. I eventually dropped down because I went and then researched the complexity, and it's a 4. So it'd be a very hard game for me and Adri to play together when there's so many other city building games we could play. Tiling, that would be simpler and easier for us both to play. A 4 is very also hard for us to play live on stream, right? Because we're having to concentrate on the chat, if the chat's there, having to concentrate on talking to the camera, our actions, right? It's a little bit too much. I may look into it. Again, this is another one of those games. If you guys think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. If you think that I'm wrong, we'll never be able to get this, because I know his games are hard to get. I even reached out to him. Let me know. Maybe I'll change my mind in the pledge manager. But that is Small City Deluxe Edition. The next one is probably the big one that had a lot of buzz going around it, and unfortunately, I don't think it did as well as they thought it was going to do. So this was Teburu Presents The Bad Karmas. It was really The Bad Karmas. Then they switched to Teburu Presents The Bad Karmas. So what this is, it was 2 things you were buying. One is Bad Karmas. Bad Karmas is a boss battler, as you can see here, where you and your cohorts are going up to beat up on these different zodiac symbols. So there's 12 plus a mysterious 13th zodiac, and it all plays on the Teburu system. So you're going to get the Teburu system, which is basically a digital NFC board. You're going to get little things for your characters so that the board can recognize you. Get a big boss base for all these wonderful bosses. And it seems really cool. I like technology. I was a technophobe. I loved, audio visual stuff. I love computers, all technology, right? I worked at Best Buy for years, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on this one because of the game. It just looked too simple in what it was. And I think also it's missing that table presence, right? If I want to play something like this, I've got Disney Infinity, right? I've got little NFC things I can stick on there, and it goes to that, right? You have, Skylanders is very similar, right? For the Xbox. If I want to play a full video game, I'm going to play it on my Xbox or on my PC, right? I'm not going to play it on a tabletop. I don't mind apps and games. I don't mind it telling stories, handling some of the overhead, things like that. But this is basically, it reminds me of those games that they came out on the Xbox with, and they all failed. Now, was that because those were geared towards gamers and gamers didn't really like that? And this is geared towards board gamers and they would be more accepting of pieces? I don't know. The other reason is just the overall cost and price. It was kind of high up there. In order to get all of the content with all the content with the expansions was $320, right? Which, I mean, isn't bad. I mean, you're getting a digital device, which is probably a $200 value by itself, and then you're getting the expansions there. This one here, you get stretch goals, extra dice set. the extra heroes. You're getting all the extra heroes, and that was 375. And then to get everything, including a prototyping kit, was 429. And that's why I don't think, that's why I was saying I don't think they did as well as they thought. I almost guarantee they thought they were going to hit 500,000, if not a million. They started throwing things in later as the campaign went on, like the SDKs and stuff like that. And I felt like they were grasping at straws to try to get more people. Like they even started revealing the games that at the beginning of the campaign, they said, we're not revealing any of that stuff. And towards the end, they started revealing all of the upcoming games. I don't know. Maybe I'll get on one of the upcoming games because maybe there'll be more elements. Like there's nothing else on the game. There's no tokens. There's no pieces. It's the minis. And even the stuff they sent out on the prototype are nice 3D minis of the terrain. Now, in the final version, it all got put into cardboard. So all the 3D stuff they sent out to preview and play testers didn't happen either. So that's Teburu and the Bad Karmas. Let me know if you guys backed it. Let me know if you guys think this is something that's worth getting into. It's interesting, I'll give you that. It's something different. But I don't know if it's for me. All right, the next one is Tamashii and the Chronicles of Sin. So this is Awakened Realms Light. Awakened Realms Light, the games themselves may not be as big as Awakened Realms in terms of content that they provide. And also it's not as big in terms of rule and complexity. So they kind of make a little bit smaller game that's a little bit easier for people to get into. Usually a little bit less minis, or in this particular case, the option to get either minis or standees. Yeah, so they show them here. So in this game, it's kind of a puzzle game where you're trying to traverse through this Neo-Tokyo type environment, cyberpunk, beautiful pink and purple colors. Gotta love the pink and purple colors. Colors. Lots of upgrades that they did throughout the entire campaign. Let me see if I can get down here to the board. But yeah, so here's your player board. So you're gonna have these data discs that you're gonna try to piece together to accomplish particular goals. So that's going to be able to fire things off. So think very much Bullet. I think one thing that a lot of people didn't do with Bullet, they treated it as a head-to-head game, which we've played it that way, and it's fine. We haven't played it on the channel that way. We've played it that way, and it's fine. It's fun. It's a good hectic party type game. But we like the boss mode. So when this came out, I was like, this is interesting. This might be what we want Bullet to be. A co-op boss mode we can go through, but it's got a little bit more depth than that because you're able to go and it tells a story. So you can see here, you got different regions, different realms. You're gonna be able to go out through the map. It's gonna go through and do different scenarios that you're trying to accomplish, along with event cards, stories, all that kind of stuff. So of course, definitely back this one. Want to see how it compares to Bullet. Most Awakened Realms games we're backing, right? We haven't played a single one, but just they've all gotten great reviews. Minis, their minis look beautiful, right? We're definitely liking that. We got ISS Vanguard on order. We have Aetherfields on order. I'm debating if I want to do the Great Wall. I've got Rising Sun, which we still can't play because it's not made for 3 players. We'd have to come up with a 2-player variant or play one of the 2-player variants. But the Great Wall would at least get me something. When are we back? I backed another game too. I don't know. It's all in the up in the air. You guys will find out when that video comes out whether or not I'm back to Great Wall. But with this is Tamashii, Chronicles of a Sin. So we did back that. If you're interested, again, on Gamefound, hit the follow. They will notify you when it goes live. So we have Tidal Blades, Rise of the Unfolders. So this is Tidal Blades 2. This is the first one Druid City has done by themselves since they broke away from Skybound. This is a follow-up. It is nothing like the first Tidal Blades. So we did play Tidal Blades on the channel. It is a dice chucking game where you're trying to upgrade your dice to be able to defeat monsters. This, on the other hand, is a dungeon crawl. So you're taking that same world, that same story building, and they've done a great job with their story building. Mr. Cuddington and his wife. The art looks beautiful. The colors look beautiful. So they've got the standalone dungeon crawler, right? And we love these book style ones where like it's in a book instead of having to lay out tiles, because when you go from one area to another area, you're not having to take it all down. So set up and play really quick to just keep going through the campaign. The other is the role-playing game. So this is based on an existing Cypher system. Not a role player, don't know what that is, but it uses that entire art system and the world building that they've done. So didn't back the RPG. We did back the dungeon crawler. Definitely like what they've done with the other games we played. We did get Wonderlands War in the mail. We played Minions of Mordak, but we got the new one with the co-op capability coming in. So we're really excited to see what Druid City does. One thing for anybody else, this is the smartest thing in the world, and James Hudson is a genius. He did the wash. They're doing 3 colors, $25, right? The irony is he announced this the day after I made my how to do a wash on a Tidal Blades mini. So maybe he saw how I did and he's like, oh, we could do that for 25 bucks. But $25, you're not paying the $100, $200, $300 that some of the other companies do. The second thing is for sleevers. He made a separate box with beautiful art with sleeves. It was a whole bundle package, right? That way you don't have to compromise the size of the box for sleevers. Plus, people that don't sleeve, it's an organization box. It will allow you to organize your cards based on the campaigns and the scenarios and things like that. So even if you're not a sleever, it's a great add-on for that. So that was just great that he added that. But yeah, very excited. Was getting nothing but praise by everybody that got to try it and play it out. So we're definitely going to check it out, the campaign, and play it on the channel once it arrives. So that is Tidal Blades 2 plus the RPG. All right, next we have Ares Expedition, Discovery, Foundations, and Crisis. These are the 3 expansions for Ares Expedition. We did play Ares Expedition twice on the channel. We played once in co-op 2-player. Then we played against in co-op 2-player using the new modes that are introduced here, which is basically using a dummy deck, which is what a lot of people suggested in the BGG. We struggled to figure out the engine building. We struggled to get things accomplished. I've heard the 2-player mode's hard. The dummies seem to make it easier. There are some things we could house rule, but something didn't click for us. So basically what this one is adding is it's adding discovery, which gives you more awards and missions, also gives you these new wild cards, which could make it a little bit easier for us when we're playing, right? Because we can make the card whatever we want it to be. You get these new player upgrades. That again can help because you're going to be able to get more powerful actions when it's your turn and you play that particular card. So that was really nice. The next is Crisis. It's a co-op mode in reverse. So instead of us building up Mars, we're having to worry about Mars being torn back down. Another co-op mode, maybe we'll be good at it. I don't know. And then the last one is Foundations. So Foundations adds more higher player count, which we don't care about. But it does add this infrastructure track, which is just another mechanic that you have to build to basically successfully complete and terraform Mars. My only downside with that is it doesn't work with all modes, from what I remember. And then the other thing is terraforming Mars itself is a long game. Ares Expedition was supposed to be its lighter brother, and it's still a long game. Like, we've never gotten Mars terraformed at 2 players, right? In the co-op mode. But even if we were, say we were just playing regular versus mode, we would still have to completely terraform Mars to end the game. And that already takes a while, and we're not winning. Either way, I think it's a long game. It's not a nice short game like it's supposed to be. With all that said, however, we did back everything. So I did go ahead and back. I am getting all 3 expansions. We'll try all 3 expansions. I would imagine after playing all 3 expansions, plus the 2 times we played now, 5 times, hopefully we'll decide whether or not we like it or not. Would love to try it at a higher player count, but we don't play many games at higher player counts. Now, again, we are moving, so maybe we'll find us a gaming group down in Florida. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll still just be me and Adri. But that is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expeditions. All right, so we're coming down to the last couple games here. So this is Jurassic World, The Legacy of Isla Nublar. So not much I can show you on this one because it is a legacy style game. You're basically trying to build out the island of Isla Nublar through the game, through the movies, right? So it's 12 different campaign scenarios you're going to go through to unlock all the bits. Once it's done, you have a forever playable game. Can't say I've ever replayed a legacy game after it's done. Most people don't. We like the unlocking, we like the ability. Once you've finished the story, not much else you're going to do. But yeah, so you basically got some workers, you can move them around. You got to worry about the dinosaurs, where they're going to be. You're going to have different things that happen each round of the game that's going to impact how the game runs. And then you're also got these little puzzles you have to solve. Let me see if I can find the puzzles. Puzzles. game board, puzzles, there we go. So you got these extra puzzles, these little game mats. So when you build the different things like the visitor center, the genetics lab, and so forth, they'll eventually become permanent. They'll stay in that location. You'll have to be able to get back to them and then be able to complete different puzzles that allow you to progress on to the next part of the game, whatever the mission or the objective is for that particular scenario. You get a couple minis on the dinosaurs. You get standees for the characters. It's always a pet peeve of mine that just breaks apart the game to me. Like, I don't like seeing cardboard and plastic together. It's something that Prospero Hall does a lot of. A lot of their games seems to be a mixed match. I know, like the Universal Studios, the monster one. I know the Gargoyles, the Disney Gargoyles one, also has the same issue. For me, that's one of the reasons I didn't back. More for me is there was nothing Kickstarter exclusive enough to incentivize me, and the price was just too much. 120, that's $10 a session, that's $10 a campaign, that's not bad, but 120 plus, then you got to pay shipping on top of that. For a Kickstarter edition that was just giving you these couple things, the deluxe tokens, yay, but again, it's a legacy game. Once I'm done, I'm done. I don't need deluxe components in a legacy game. An extra character blue, don't need that. To me, I feel like this game, with the amount of minis they were providing, should have been a less than $100 game, about 100. And they could have done much better, maybe made a $60 legacy game without the plastic, right? Without the minis, just cardboard. And I probably would have been fine with that as well, because everything's cardboard standees. I'm going to throw it all away anyways, right? So I did not back that. I'll probably check it out in retail because of the fact that I love Jurassic Park. I remember as a kid, I went and drove like miles away to see it in the biggest theater we could, because I was living out in the middle of the desert. So I had to drive some distance to get to a nice big like Mall of America style mall. Went and watched, I think I saw it at least twice. Driving cross country. I was in 9th grade. Driving cross country, read both books, love both books. So definitely going to check it out. Just going to probably wait till retail when it's a little bit cheaper. Next, we have Casting Shadows. Casting Shadows is by the people that make my shirt, T-Turtle and Unstable Games. Their games are very cute. They look great. The art's great. This one, unfortunately, the only thing we were ever given was rules. So I can't really tell you anything more than being an area control / elimination battling game. That's most I can tell you, right? You're going to have your little character, and then he's going to be able to, or she, I guess, is going to be able to evolve into their shadow form by completing certain tasks and upgrading your character throughout. Unstable Games, their games have a great reputation. We like Here to Slay. I'm lukewarm on Happy Little Dinosaurs. Adri likes Happy Little Dinosaurs. Most of the games, unfortunately, are 100% Kickstarter exclusive. They never release their Kickstarter exclusive stuff ever to retail or to other Kickstarter backers. I personally am against that. I'm fine if you offer your Kickstarter exclusives on another Kickstarter and not at retail. That's fine. But one thing that bothered me is the publisher and the designer, he was happy that his games are going for a premium on eBay. He did it in one of his updates. No, we're not giving you any of our old Kickstarter stuff. Yes, go pay $500 for Here to Slay Kickstarter edition so you can get the 2 Kickstarter exclusive pack of cards, the dragons and the heroes, right? I'm not a fan of that. That to me is driving hype, and is one of the reasons, and I'll be honest with you, that they made $4 million, because everybody has got that FOMO and they're afraid they're not going to be able to get anything. I'm unfortunately one of those people too. I did not want to miss out, did not want to miss any of the Kickstarter characters or Kickstarter exclusives, because I'm never going to get them for Here to Slay. Unless somebody happens to have it, wants to send it to us and not charge us an arm and a leg, we're not going to have it. And that, to me, I'm a collector. I'm a completionist sometimes. So, you know, I'm going to want it. Now, I did not go all in. So they did have multiple tiers. There's the basic tier, which had meeples. But then there was an acrylic tier that had these acrylics. And then they had the vinyls tier. And I like vinyls, but they never showed how these would look on the board. And if they would be too big, too small. They kind of said you'd be able to fit a couple on each tile. which to me makes them seem small, and they're way too expensive if they're as small as I think they are. Remember, I've got like little Dorbs and things like that, which are like yay big, and I think that's how big they're going to be. Those aren't worth more than $5 to me, 10 tops. And they were charging more than that. The acrylic standees, kind of the same problem, is their cost is a little bit up there, and the only way you could get them was in the pack that had like all the play mats. I might add them in the Pledge Manager, but again, there was no display of them on the board that I remember that kind of showed how they would look and how they would play. Okay, so they did show them. So they did show the acrylic standees. So I don't know. The little wood meeples are cute. I like them just fine. I don't think it's worth the extra money. I may be missing out on the FOMO stuff, but that's how I kept myself back, was saying I don't need those particular upgrades. But that is Casting Shadows. You can pre-order now, which is basically, I guess, going to take you to their late pledge system. Next, we have Encyclopedia. So Encyclopedia is a worker placement game where you're using dice. So I guess it's a dice placement game, to be accurate. And you're trying to research, get some resources to then be able to basically write the encyclopedia. You're going to find different species of animals and then add them to the catalog. Whoever has the most points wins, right? Very much like this style of mechanic. We did back Darwin's Journey, so we're waiting for that to arrive. It should be before the end of the year, according to the publisher. We did just play Holotype, which I mentioned earlier in this video. You can check that out, which is another worker placement, but you're doing dinosaurs. So you're researching dinosaurs. So very similar to this. If you like this and you back this, go check out Holotype. Small little publisher, first game, definitely needs our backing. I think they're like 4,000 away from funding, so go check that out. But Encyclopedia definitely looks interesting. Looks a little bit lighter than Darwin's Journey. So it does look like it fits a different role than Darwin's Journey. We do like dice placement. We played a couple of the games from Final Frontier games. Oh, I was saying Fantasy Realms. No, that's not it. Final Frontier games. We played a couple of their dice placement. We did like that. So I did back this one. Of course, have to get the all-in pledge with all the goodies and the yummies and the upgrades and so forth. It just looked like a really fun, interesting game. Board Game Co, of course, liked it. Alex had good things to say about it. So we definitely back that. That is Encyclopedia. Another one that actually canceled, and I missed this because it was canceled after the first time, and these are in order based on the last video, was Slash and Spells. So Slash and Spells is one they were looking at. They did a good job of advertising it, showing it off. The art looked great, but unfortunately the gameplay to me didn't hit home, and that's I think why they had to cancel. Is this is their first game. They got to get their feet wet. They got to figure out what people wanted, don't want. They're going to take that feedback and come back. The acrylic standees, love that. You can put in acrylic standees. Some people want minis. I would prefer at least acrylic standees to cardboard standees, but it's all card and deck placement, and it's basically like a battle royale game. And those games don't seem to do well, which is ironic because I just said for Casting Shadows, that's really all that is, but it's cute. This one, the art's great, but I don't know if it's a game style that we have liked. We've played Battle Bears, and I don't think we've played any other Battle Royale. And Battle Royale games also don't normally work very well at 2 players, right? Because you're only beating each other up. I know there's a lot of like Mythic Games, the big one from Mythic Games, that's 2-player. It can be played 2-player, and there's a couple other ones. It's just not us. We don't PvP. We like co-op, or we like competitive where we're not directly having to impact the other player, right? So hopefully they come back, they take some feedback. Maybe I'll check it out again. I know we had mentioned doing a preview copy for them online, but we didn't ever get a copy to be able to do during the campaign. So maybe when they relaunch, we might get a copy. But that's Slash and Spells. And when they come back, I guess you can probably go out to Burning Forge's website to get reminded of the relaunch. And the last game is Darkest Doom. So Darkest Doom is a game I wasn't even aware of, but Crackload mentioned it was based off of a video game that was a board game. And it took those mechanics and turned it into a board game. So it's kind of the reverse of what normally happens. In this, you're trying to defeat a darkness that is taking over during an eclipse. That's the whole, timeless with the eclipse behind it. Had neat looking minis. It had anthropomorphic type atmosphere, and we're usually into that, so I figured I'll give this a shot and look at it. The way you win, it is a semi-co-op game. You're not really working against each other per se. You all have the same end goal, but there's really only one winner, and somebody could actually go evil. So the way you can win is either taking over the place of the High Priestess, killing the High Priestess, joining the High Priestess, and I think there were two other ways that the game could win and end. But yeah, you're basically going around, you're trying to combat the darkness on your turn. So you got equipment cards, traps, you upgrade yourself, more spells, normal kind of boss battler. Well, I want to say normal boss. It's very different boss battler. I went and watched the gameplay of this by, I think Dice Tower did one, somebody else did one too, and it didn't draw me in. The price, the minis, I originally pledged just so I could get the early bird discount and not miss out on anything. But I think within about 4 or 5 days, I ended up just dropping back down to $1. I didn't see anything interesting for me to make me want to back this one. So was really on the fence. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, let us know down in the comments. Maybe this is a game that I'm missing something. But again, might not be a game for us. But that is Darkest Doom. Where's that? Darkest Doom. Darkest Doom from, I don't even know what it is, from GameStart Games. All right, guys, that is everything that we backed in March. So, of course, we'll have another list for everything we backed in April, well, in May. Hopefully a little bit sooner than this. We want to try to get them out there in the first week. With the challenge we normally do, if you got any suggestions for me and Adri to kind of spice up the challenge, let us know down in the comments, see what we can do, what happens when she guesses wrong, or what happens to me when she guesses right, or whether you just want to watch a guess. If you want to see any of those previews I mentioned from the different games we've already played, they'll be somewhere on the channel. There's a playlist. If you want to see any of the upcoming previews of these games, the ones that we backed and the ones that the previews are going to be sent to us, make sure you hit that subscribe, bell notification, all that YouTube stuff. Other likes when I do that. Until next time, guys. Peace.